My name is Adavia Davis, and I have an IQ between 137 and 142, clinically tested. This isn't one of these tests that you see online. Actually, I was examined when I was 9 years old, 12 years old, 16 years old, and they range between 137 and 142. And I was scared to make this video because it seems like it's extremely like conceited, you're egotistical. It's like you're trying to provokes people. I don't know. It comes off as narcissistic, and I didn't want to. But then I saw Nicki Minaj tweet talking about how it's hard to have a high IQ. People think you're a sidekick. It's hard to relate to people. And I'm like, you know what? That'd be a good video idea. So shout out Nicki Minaj. And I'm kind of going through some changes in my life right now, and I definitely am doing more self reflection than anything else. And so I'm definitely going to get into the negatives that not a lot of people will be able to relate to, but hey, for the people that can, hopefully you enjoy. So, first off, the biggest thing I struggle with is definitely I don't really feel like I'm smart. I never really felt like I was smart. Um, as smart as I guess what they would say. I knew I was definitely above average, but I never really felt like the score that I got when I was 9 years old, and I was 12 years old, and I was 16 years old. I'm very aware of the Dunning Kruger effect, as in being you aren't aware, you are very aware that you do not know. And usually, people, the dumber that they are, the more they think they know, and the smarter you are, the less you think you know. But I'm telling you, I never actually felt like I'm like a genius. I just didn't. I didn't at all. I didn't have like exceptionally high grades in school. I graduated with about 3.8. It was like 3.85, I believe. Um, and that's only because I took like weighted classes that gave me a little boost. What really told me that I was intelligent was definitely the validation I got like exterior wise. I never felt it internally that I was like smart. I would think about the way that I speak. I would think about the things that I would do. I would think about my regulation. And I'm like, I don't even have like a vocabulary or vernacular. The way I string together words doesn't seem like a way of someone of exceptional intelligence, but I have to make a difference between information and intelligence itself. And that was really hard for me, I guess, because I wasn't always the most knowledgeable. I like to know a little bit about a lot, but I didn't really feel like I never really felt like I was that smart. I never really did. But I remember when I was in school, teachers would put me in these gifted classes. They would put me in classes like I'm a freshman, and then there's only juniors and seniors, and they're like, "You belong in this class. I have your name highlighted because you're gifted." And I would get this pep talk literally all throughout my life, throughout my family, throughout my teachers, throughout advisors. I would do these camps where I was first introduced to quantum physics when I was 12 years old, by this guy named Joe at a summer camp. And he's like, the fact that you can even understand this is mind blowing. And then to me, it's just like, I don't, I don't really get it. I mean, it's cool, I guess. And I spent so much time instead of like, going on hikes, they did camping trips, they did like water balloon fights. It was me and Joe talking about theories, physics theories. And as a kid, I just thought it was something I was interested in. I didn't realize it was just like the hard thing to grasp. But the older that I get, I'm like, okay, yeah, most people don't really understand this. And to me, like I said, it's that exterior validation that really told me that, hey, you are smart. I definitely had a lot of insecurities growing up, and those insecurities faded away the more I was validated. And that's so interesting to me. That's so interesting to how that works. It's like I'll never be aware of where I am. I can be aware of so much around me, so much of other people, but I'll never be aware of the gift that I have, which is I think it's definitely both a good and bad thing. I think it's a good thing because people, they get too full of themselves and they think they know everything. When you think you know everything, you become extremely ignorant. You become narcissistic, you become egotistical. I love being such a learner, having a yearning for learning. It makes me evolve, it makes me develop, and I'm always okay with being wrong. And that's a pattern that you don't really see from a lot of people that are highly gifted, highly intelligent. They are usually right a lot. Okay. And I will say that I am right a lot. I know I'm right a lot. People who are smart are usually right. Okay. They've been right a lot on tests. They've been right a lot on their reads on people. They've been right a lot on, hey, what would this do if this person does this? And they get, again, so much affirmation in themselves to where that confidence starts building up. And I definitely am one of them, but I haven't taken it to that extreme. And I definitely try to always keep myself humble and never fall out of extremes. But for sure, when you have so much affirmation, when you usually are right, you build this stubbornness. You get this like callous nature of never being able to be moved. You become almost impenetrable to any thoughts that's outside of what you've deemed to be worthy. And that breeds a lot of narcissistic traits. The smartest friends I have, they all have narcissistic traits. I have narcissistic traits. And it again just comes from the overconfidence. I'm used to being um I don't feel like I'm used to being right as much as I am as being wrong. but I am used to being right. If I'm confident about something, I'm probably right. I'm probably right. Um and I don't know. I hate how all this sounds. It's like so icky. It's so yucky. Even like speaking this out loud into a camera. These are like the thoughts that people keep in their head. Like no one says this out loud. Um, but that's why I'm making this video again, to just be vulnerable. And it's definitely been a huge problem in sociology, like relationships. I think when you are abnormal in a way, it is very hard for people to relate to you and understand you. And that misunderstanding has been a plague that's been attached to me ever since I was 4 or 5 years old. I always felt like I was out of place. I always felt like, I can have some correlation with people in here. I can find some things I like about people in this group, but I never really felt like I was truly understood. I never really felt like I truly belonged somewhere. And I kept searching everywhere to find some place where I felt like I belong, but it just doesn't satisfy. And the worst part is, and the biggest curse of intelligence is, again, everything that you know is everything that you cannot ignore. And you overthink a lot. And I used to get so stressed out and overthinking. I definitely do a lot less now. It's like I turn off my brain a lot. I turn off my brain because if I did, I'd go to like nihilistic viewpoints, or I would eliminate so much happiness. And this past, I would say, year and a half, I've like turned off my brain so much in so many situations because I'm like, I don't want to overthink. I want to enjoy the moment. I want to live in the now. I don't want to be a sourpuss about everything. And it is it has definitely made life a lot more enjoyable, that's for sure. But again, it's so easy to overthink everything. And when you overthink with confidence, right? You overthink with stubbornness, then you start to just build realities that aren't even true off of foundations. It's like, I'm used to being right about this person, right? So then I make all these assumptions about this person. But the reality is, I don't have all the information. I don't have complete information. Who am I to say I have a complete grasp? Who am I to tell another person who they are? You understand? I don't think it's my right, but I can't help myself. I can't help myself. So I just keep it to myself. And sometimes I'm like, I have to understand that I'm wrong. And you definitely gets to the point. You have to be smart, number one. You have to be smart enough to know how wrong you are. And I'm very, very happy that at 23 years old, I'm understanding this. I'm very happy that I'm not stuck in like the IQ trap of being smart enough to take what you want, to solve problems, but being even a little smarter to know that I don't know everything. If I don't know about a topic, I would much rather say I don't know than to make myself look foolish. And I used to do that. I used to talk about things that I didn't know, and then you talk to an expert, and then guess what? You're gonna get dumbed down. You're gonna feel like belittled. You're gonna get embarrassed. Just say you don't know. Just say you don't know, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But again, I guess talking about more of the disadvantages, it definitely feels lonely. It feels like you're living life at a frequency that very few can understand, and if you understand, they're still living it very differently. I think the more intelligent that you are, the more that you're outside of normality, and outside of normality means that you get very individualistic characteristics within everyone. Like a person who has IQ of 140, another person has the IQ of 140, does not mean that they think the same. That means they think at a higher frequency, but they do not think the same. When you go down to a person who's like 90 IQ, right? You're just responding off a stimuli at that point. Like, ooh, I like music, therefore I jump and down. I jump up and down. You understand? It's like my feelings are hurt, therefore I will react. When you are at a higher plane, okay? you don't think the same. Two people of 140, two people of 130 aren't going to think the same. They can both take the same information and they can both come to different analysis based on how they decide to overthink if you have no absolute, right? Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Hopefully I'm saying this in the way that makes sense. So what that brings is a lot of loneliness because you're hard to be understood. Hard to be understood. And it's not the other person's fault. It's not really your fault. Well, I think it is more of the individual. It's more of my fault than it is anyone else's fault. Because you have to be aware of, again, how to communicate effectively. I find myself dumbing down my speech a lot for people who I'm like, they probably won't understand. And I don't want to come across as like arrogant by just blasting words that I know they cannot even understand. And even like in YouTube videos or in meetings, sometimes I'm like, okay, I don't want to speak at a language to where they don't understand. And I don't even think I have like a super high vocabulary. I really don't. I don't read enough books to have a super high vocabulary. But I could say things in a way that's confusing, like unintentionally, or I will share my ideas, my thoughts, and they're like, okay, I don't get it. And I'm like, okay, let me just backtrack real quick. Let me say this in a way that will resonate. And like I said, it feels like you're always masking, man. You're always masking. You know that you have to mask because if you're not masked, then you're so isolated. And it's not fun. It's not fun. I don't put it at a high value like I used to. I used to think so much about intelligence all the time. I used to think that, oh, I'm smart, therefore I must like chess, therefore I must like all of these esoteric knowledge and information. No, I don't have to fit a mask, and I'm happy that I'm growing out of this so much. I don't have to do smart people things to prove to myself that I'm smart. What does that even look like? It looks like insecurity. It looks like, yeah, again, you're not smart. And that definitely comes from the insecurity again of myself of I would hunt. I'm not trying to fake humble to you. If I had to judge myself, seriously judge myself off of people of superior intelligence versus the average person, I would put myself at maybe like a 127. That's what I feel like. That's genuinely what I feel like. That's gifted. Okay, that's gifted. I can say I'm gifted. I don't feel like I'm 142. What? Like we're approaching Einstein at that point. I don't feel like it. I don't understand it. But again, it's the exterior validation. Another way I get validation is from people who I respect and people who I deem more intelligent than I am. I find that a lot of really smart people enjoy my conversations, enjoy my presence. Um, and it's a beautiful thing because it's much more the affirmation like, yeah, I belong here. Maybe I am actually smart, as they say. Well, I took the test 3 times because the first time, um, I didn't know my score. The second time, I knew that it was above 121, and then the third time, I wanted to know where I was above 121. And again, I wanted to know why my teachers thought this of me, why my counselors taught this of me. I didn't tell a lot of people this, but I was in a mental institution for something that happened in 2021. I was really depressed. Blah blah blah. No self harm or anything like that. I was just very very depressed, and they had a guy from out of state come individually to talk to me because he specializes in gifted kids. And I'm like, what? Like, it's like I'm like, there's no way. There's no way. There's no possible way. And I don't know. I feel like I'm talking about this and like no one's going to relate. It's just like a cool little story. But again, I get the exterior validation. And I'm like, hey, it must be true. These things wouldn't happen to me if it wasn't true. And therefore, I'm alone in this journey. And it's hard, man. It's hard. Like I said, I'm really in a very revolutionary point right now in my life, and I'm thinking of what direction do I go in? Who am myself? I can see the world so much clearer, I feel like, than I can see myself because I'm a mess. I'm like tangled with so many different ideas and thoughts, and always thinking of, is this the right thing to do? Is this the right thing to do? I can process information so well outside of myself. I think of why do I do the things that I do? And I can piece it to anything I would like. Another great thing of intelligence, which is you have to be extremely worried about, is you can affirm anything that you believe. You can convince yourself of anything. Any conclusion that you would like, you can make strings of correlation to piece together the idea and the idea that you have in your head. Whatever hypothesis, you can almost verify. Again, it makes you dangerous. It makes you dangerous when wrong people think that they're right, because they will defend it to the earth's core. And I'm aware of this, very aware of this, which is why I don't do it. I don't do it. But yeah, what was I saying? Nicki Minaj tweet. I thought about it. She said that people see you as a psychic. I like forget that not a lot of people have this level of awareness of being able to, again, look at situations like as an omnipresent figure almost. And my friends, family, whatever, I've always been told, like, oh, I can read someone so well. Like, oh, you can read me so well. How did you know I was going to do that? Oh, you're spiritually gifted. I don't think it's that. I just think, again, I'll take the person, and here's how my brain decodes it. Okay, you are this person. I'm going to make a profile based off the characteristics that you have shown me and off the characteristics that other people have attributed to you. So I can make some type of pattern recognition inside of my brain of, okay, you've done this, which means you're more than likely to do this based off of who you are, what you are, where you are. Boom. And then I can make these little theories in my head. And I used to always say to my friends, like, oh, I have a theory about you. I have a theory about this. I have a theory about this, theory about this. And I call it theories because I don't know. I don't say it. I don't know if it's a fact. I will say it like it's a fact. I'm very guilty of that. I will say things like they're facts. In my head, I know it's a theory. And then I'll just debunk myself later. I was like, oh, okay, I'm wrong, blah, blah, blah. But I say things with bold confidence, but that's for like literally like psychology reason. But I'll have all these theories, and it leads me to not getting surprised a lot. Like, I watch a movie, and as I'm watching the movie and watching Spider-Man, I'm just like, okay, they want to make this movie as entertaining as possible. So what is the most likely outcome that will make viewers satisfied so they can watch the movie again or watch a sequel? And I'm thinking of, okay, this movie is written by this person. This person did the same sequence of events in this movie, which means they're likely to do it again in here. And so again, it's all this like over processing that I can't even stop all the time. And then it's like, okay, what happened was exactly what I predicted happened. It's crazy. I watched the Spider-Man movie, and then when Tom Holland and Zendaya were on top of that building, and Zendaya was like, oh, I actually remember you, Spider-Man. I remember all of our memories because of the X, Y, and Z, and I've been looking for you. And I was like, this is a trap the entire time because this doesn't make any sense. I can listen to the music in the background. They're trying to oversell this emotion to the audience just so they can rug pull it from underneath their feet later and like, voila, I'm actually the bad guy. And I hate that. That's not fun. I just want to watch a movie and get surprised. Like, dang. It just takes the fun out of everything. I love surprises. I do. I love surprises. I love fun. I love like gotcha moments. I even like this is toxic. I like being manipulated. Well, that's crazy. That's crazy. Because it just doesn't happen a lot. It doesn't happen a lot. I don't get a lot of shocks. And it just takes a lot of joy out of anything. I can overthink any situation and just make myself unhappy. And I should be able to overthink situations to make myself more happy. But usually it's the opposite, and it can lead to a very depressing life. I wouldn't say I'm depressed. I'm definitely going through a phase right now, which this phase, like all phases in life, will definitely pass. And I'm enjoying who I am as a man more and more and more. I'm really loving who I am. And I used to just hyper focus on IQ, proving to myself that I'm smart. At this point, I don't even care. I don't even care. I don't need to. I was taking peptides, nootropic peptides, to try to increase my IQ. I was like, I need even more. I'm playing all these mental stimulation games that I don't even like love. I do like chess. Other games I didn't even love. I was like, oh, I need to do this and be great to prove to everyone else I'm smart. Because look, I'm really good at this. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Get over it. I remember I was scared to take boxing seriously because I'm like, if I get a concussion, I could lose my IQ by 2 points. I'm boxing now. Maybe I should lose some. I definitely think if my IQ is 142, I need to lose at least 10, 15 points. Bring on the concussions. Bring on the concussions. Bring on the head trauma, the CT, anything. To again just put me more in normality. I don't strive to be overly exceptional. I really don't. I really don't. It's just not who I am as a person. I remember again, I think a lot about school because it really shapes on who you are and it puts you into social classes for the first time ever. I remember I never wanted to be the smartest kid in the room. Ever. Ever. I didn't want that spotlight. I wanted to be if in like the top top 10. And if I'm in the top 10, better put me at 9 or 10. I want to be associated with giftedness, but I don't want to be the most gifted. Make sense? Make sense? If we're on an NBA team, all right, I don't want to be the star player. I'll be third. I'm fine with being six man. I'm fine with being six man. I just want to be important. I want to be significant, but I don't have to be the star. And I feel like that in all rooms. And like I said, I know it's pretty square, it's pretty NPC like. It definitely juxtaposes everything I could possibly even teach and give people, especially as far as like with my career and my mentorship and everything that I do. It's like I strive to tell people you need to be exceptional, you need to make so much money, you need to do XYZ. Man, if I made like 100K a year, I'm I'm fine. I'm fine. I can live a happy life. I just want to be happy. I just want to be happy, and that's what matters most. And it's a little hard to be happy again when you're just never really understood. Um, and you feel like most of your problems you can understand. I've had many therapists before, and every time I just feel lost. Even Dr. King, who came down, and it's like, oh, I talked, I specify, sorry, oh my goodness, I specialize in gifted individuals like yourself. So you're not gonna try to manipulate me and do all this other stuff. And unfortunately, I manipulated him. I was like, no, no, you're supposed to be my kryptonite. But that's a totally different story. That's a totally different story. It was like a do or die situation. I'm like, listen, buddy, I'm breaking out of here. I'm manipulating you. Like, and I don't think I can manipulate you, but so we're probably gonna break out. But either way, I got out of that terrible place. Terrible place. Um, Phew, I'm so happy. I'm so happy I've grown so much out of that. But yeah, I guess that's all I have for this video. I'm gonna be making a lot more videos. If you made it all the way to the end, type bottle cap, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.